The UK is about to enter another financial crisis because of this Iran war. The higher oil prices from the war is making cost of living so much worse. Look, and guess what? The government is not coming to save you. You've got to be your own hero. And here are the 4 steps that I'm taking, and you should too, to protect your finances, your family, and your future. Because I'm personally invested. Are you? Now, to give some context to these steps and why they matter, we first need to understand what the very real implications of this war are on our pockets. So explain this impacts to a 5-year-old looks like this. Higher oil prices means that every end good becomes more expensive because oil is used in the production and the transport of goods and services. If goods and services become more expensive to produce, businesses pass these higher costs to consumers in increased prices, which is called inflation. If things cost more, consumers can consume less. Your effective discretionary income shrinks because you can't consume as much. People are poorer and worse off. On top of that, things like energy prices have already risen. My diesel from the petrol station is already 50% higher than it was a month ago. Public transport, traveling abroad, that's all going to become more expensive. The food that you eat, that's going to become more expensive. Your energy bills to heat your house, to keep your lights on, that's going to become more expensive. You already saw what that looked like from Russia and Ukraine. And because of this rising inflation, guess what? Central banks are going to be forced to step in and increase interest rates to try and cool off inflation. So what does that mean? All forms of debt become more expensive. Your mortgage payment, that's going up. Check what the recent mortgage rates are. For a 5-year fixed, it's 4.5%. A 2-year fixed is 5.2%. Literally like 2 months ago, that was sitting closer to 4.3% for a 5-year and 4.75% for a 2-year. Putting hundreds of pounds extra on people who are coming out of their mortgage deals. High interest rates also impact businesses because now debts that they already owe increase in interest payments. It becomes more costly to borrow, so they're not going to be investing as much, and just the cost of doing business increases. If they're a brick and mortar kind of business, the energy bills go up, their mortgage payments go up, and guess what? Their sales go down because of the increased prices and less discretionary income across the economy. And the end result of this is job cuts, slower GDP growth or shrinking GDP growth, which is a recession, foreclosures on houses, and financial stress across the board, whether you're a consumer or a business. So how do we protect ourselves? How do we position ourselves to be winners in this financial crisis and not miss out on it like many people did in 2008? Well, step 1 is to get your income and expenses in order. If you haven't already started with budgeting, please do so now. You need to live below your means in order to create a buffer between you and life. Now, it's difficult to save when you're living paycheck to paycheck. However, it's crucial that you have some sort of financial buffer because when things go wrong, you do not want to get into debt to pay for things. People are already in stupid amounts of debts in the UK. You do not want to add to yours if you already have some, and you don't want to get into debt if you don't. The budget I recommend is a zero-based budget. You basically look at your entire income for the month, you subtract all your expenses, and then you see what you have left at the end of the month. That's your savings. Now, you break your expenses down in your needs, which are your financial four walls, your housing, your groceries, your transportation, and utilities. And then you look at your wants as well. Literally everything else that you can survive without. You need to reduce your wants section as much as possible, realistically, in order to increase your savings rate. And why that's essential is for step number 2, building your emergency fund. This is going to be 3 to 6 months of expenses. That's not your entire salary for the month. That's not your expenses plus your wants plus your savings. No, it's just scorched earth, war times. How much do I need to get by each month? That's what you're saving for 3 to 6 months. Closer to 3 months if you're single or married and you're renting, you ain't got no kids, you've got a stable job. I say stable because this job market is crazy. And closer to 6 months if you've got kids, you've got a mortgage, you're self-employed and your income fluctuates month to month. Now, having that emergency fund is crucial because it becomes a financial shield between you and life. Now, I've already told you what kind of things happen during financial crises. Mortgage payments increase. People lose their jobs. Inflation goes rampant. And having this emergency fund allows you to sleep at night because if, God forbid, you lost your job tomorrow, tell me this now. Would you be able to cover your expenses for 3 months, for 6 months? How many months could you cover for? I know that question shook a lot of you. you have nothing in your savings. So we need to change that ASAP. My personal goal would be 10k in emergency savings at least, because that covers the majority of expenses, financial emergencies that may come up in this life. You can replace your phone for less than £1,000. You can replace your laptop for less than £1,000. You can fix your car, buy a decent used car for less than £4,000. You can replace your boiler. You could put a new roof on your house within reason, and cover basically whatever financial emergency you could think of that isn't covered by the NHS. Now, step 3, to protect yourself from the coming financial crisis, is to lock in your interest rate. A lot of people are coming out of the mortgage deals that they locked in during COVID, during 2022, 2020, 2021, if you're on a 5 or 3 or a 2. And with interest rates rising, it's expected that they're going to rise 2 to 3 more times this year. I'd recommend getting the best deal that you can now and locking that for at least 5 years. The funny thing about inflation is that prices go up, but they don't go back down. If inflation cools, it just means that prices are increasing more slowly. They don't go back down to what they were before the inflation. Don't try and play the game and think, oh, maybe the war might end in the next 2 months or the next 3 weeks. No one knows that. This war could run on for the next 2-3 years, God knows. And things could get much, much worse. So having some financial stability in your housing payments is crucial to give you peace of mind if you've got a mortgage. Now, if you haven't got a mortgage, well, maybe considering extending your rent contract longer, because landlords are more likely to give you a better price if you sign with them and stay with them for longer, so long as you're living somewhere decent and you're happy with the price. If not, then maybe you might have to change that, because guess what? Their mortgage, their interest payments are also going to rise as interest rates increase, and that's going to be fed on into your mortgage, your rental payments. But if you live at home, then I guess you can discard step 3 because you're living rent free, bro. Possibly. Now, step 4 to protect yourself from the coming financial crisis is investing. Yep. Stay invested. Now is not the time to get paper hands and to sell out of your portfolio and get shook because you're seeing stocks go red. You're seeing the last 2 years of your investment gains disappear. The stock market is like a roller coaster. And guess what? With roller coaster rides, the only people that get hurt are the ones that jump off halfway. The S&P 500 over the last 50 years has returned 10% on average. Some years have been higher, some years have been lower, some years have even been negative. However, no one who bought the S&P 500 50, 30, 10 years ago currently has a negative return. If anything, they're up 10x plus if they invested 10 years ago. 20x plus if they invested even further back. The way you need to see this financial crisis is like the stock market is going on discount. Your favorite stocks, your favorite ETFs are cheaper now, and that means you can load the boat with them. You can buy even more at better prices, because guess what? When this financial crisis is over and the world economy recovers, it's going back up, and you do not want to miss the ride when the stock market starts going to the moon. So if you're already investing, stay invested and continue to invest consistently each month. And if you're not investing, well, I got to preface this by saying that this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. You can make money, you can lose money in the stock market. Do your own research. However, what I'm about to say is true and beneficial. For most beginners, investing in a broadly diversified ETF is more than enough. VOO, which is Vanguard's ETF that tracks the S&P 500, which is the largest 500 companies in the US, has returned around 10%. Plus, like I said, you can start investing with as little as £1 with some investing platforms. I'm not going to mention which because I ain't getting paid by them yet. But ideally, investing however much you can afford each month to do so is all the more beneficial now whilst the stock market is in decline, because it primes your investment gains to be more powerful when everything inevitably recovers. How much should you be investing? Well, there's different financial ratios out there. Some people say 20% of your take-home pay. Some people say 15% of your pre-tax income. Well, I think invest whatever you're comfortable with, knowing that if I lost this amount tomorrow, if it went to zero, I'd be fine with. Personally, I'm able to now invest £833 a month, 20% my income, 10k a year. I didn't get here overnight. It's taken me years to build up to this point. However, I'm on a mission to hit 10 mil in generational wealth plus by the time my journey on this earth is over, because I'm trying to change my family tree. So boys and girls, in this current state of uncertainty driven by war, by fear-mongering news headlines, you need to stay calm, you need to be an eagle and look from above with an analytical and logical frame of mind. And rather than being fearful, look for opportunities and how you can leverage this coming financial crisis for your benefit. Because guess what? More millionaires are made during financial crises than during any other period of time. If you had invested in oil prior to this war, you'd have been up 50% by now. Obviously, hindsight is 2020, but there's plenty of assets that you can invest in today, which if you leave alone and continue to be consistent investing in, will reap you a return that will blow your mind. As opposed to just sticking everything in a high yield savings account and getting 2%, 3%, 4% on it. So ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of another video. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me. Subscribe to see my next video when that comes out, or check out this other video that YouTube thinks you'll like. Let me know if they got it right. I'm personally invested. The question is, are you?